warm welcome to this brand new episode and a very novel one at that. I have with me my friend Moiz. Welcome, Moiz, to the show.
Hi, Surendra. Thanks for having me here.
Good. I've been intrigued since the last couple of weeks. Once I saw that certificate that you posted on social media that now you are officially into dog training. And from what I know of you, you've been the typical corporate guy moving in and out and doing the rounds and been there, done that, had your own business at a point of time.
Right.
What prompted this jump to an absolutely radical profession?
So, actually, this whole thought has evolved over the last maybe 2.5 years.
Oh,
It actually started with COVID, and during COVID, the kids were home. So I have a daughter and a son, and they both were home. And they'd always been asking to have a pet and a dog for sure. And it was always reluctant because it is difficult in Bombay to have a pet and with this busy lifestyle, small houses and things like that. So there are always excuses there for not having it. But I think during COVID, finally, I think my son convinced everybody that we should get a dog, and I was the only one who actually was against it right till the end. It's too much of a headache. Why do it now? We've sort of dealt with two kids, and we should now relax. There's no point creating more stress for ourselves. So I think eventually my wife got convinced. So and I had no say for mostly. So and so we got a puppy home. He was about 4 5 weeks. Very cute, small fellow who was like lying in one corner, very very quiet, sedate. We in fact named him Shifu because of that. Like a from Kung Fu Panda,
hmm.
like Master Shifu, the quiet one. So it started with that, but then I think he was not well, which we didn't know. So we were first time pet parents. We've not done this before. So uh, we realized that he was actually unwell eventually, and went to the vet, got him treated. I think he had a ear infection, and after that he became one like a ball of terror. Okay. Once he was better, and I was still not convinced. We said, let's give him back. Let's not give him to someone else who'll do a better job. And even till then, I was reluctant to have a dog. So the journey actually started from there, and over a period of time, I think what also helped was that for a dog, because these are pack animals, right? They have actually evolved from wolves,
Yeah,
live in a pack, and a pack always has a leader, an alpha male,
male.
an alpha wolf, alpha dog. May not be male actually, sorry. So it just has to be one sort of leader. So for whatever reason, Shifu chose me within the family.
Okay.
And I think that's where the bond actually started. And I used to work in Pune. I used to come here only on weekends. So
Hmm.
Monday morning, I used to leave. I used to stay alone in Pune, work there, and come back on Friday and spend Saturday, Sunday here with Shifu in Bombay. Shifu was at home in Bombay and go back. So that also started bothering him. He used to be very depressed most of Monday, very excited most of Friday. I don't know how he kept time. He knew exactly what was Monday and Fridays.
Hmm.
And so over a period of time, that also started playing at the back of my mind. And I've been, as you rightly said, own business 10 years, then corporate. I was with Vodafone, with Mahindra's, Classic Legend. So that was about 15 years. And sort of started feeling a little jaded with it whole. corporate lifestyle, although the check at the end of the month kept you hooked onto it.
Yeah.
And at some point, I decided to sort of like quit, and I said we'll do something of our own, and came back, and that's when this whole process of trying to understand what to do, because many interests, many opportunities, and that thought eventually made me. So I started actually with an idea of training. I've always handled training in corporate as a vertical. Always had L&D reporting into me, so I have a sense of how that works. So maybe I should get into that, and these courses that certify you as trainers and coaches, evaluated all that. But somehow it never, moved forward beyond a certain point. But at some point, I sort of, I don't know, I can literally say intuitively, figured out that I'm happier around dogs than humans. And started then researching. Of course, my wife has been of great support. So Azmat also kept saying, do something you like. And she's seen, I mean, she's also a convert. I mean, everyone's life revolves around Shifu now.
Yeah.
So she said, "Well, why don't you do this?" And I realized that I found a lot of joy in just the thought of doing it, and figured out. And when I went through it, it was quite an adventurous journey, because
Hmm.
nothing in my past experience other than Shifu is, I can build on that. And that's how it started. That's how I did it. And
Okay.
went through, and now I've got certified. So there are very few. I mean, there's only like a top 1% uh, you know, of dog trainers who are certified, who have actually studied. And so I'm happy to be there. And I've started
Hmm.
with about 8 dogs till now. So
Oh, wonderful.
yeah,
So my first question, because this is absolutely intriguing as a field or as what you do. Uh, when that moment happened that you decide that you are happier around dogs, that converting to that I'll become a dog trainer has to be two different thoughts, right?
yeah.
So, were you skeptical inside your mind? What am I thinking? What happened to me? And the being unsure part, or was there none of it?
No, I think once that thought crystallized, I don't think there was much hesitation to the next step. And as I said, Azmat has been very sort of supportive. She's been very encouraging. So there was that way. There was no worry about, let's say I had to earn X amount in that month. So that there was some other constraints. So because I had that luxury also, that
Hmm.
leap from wanting to do it to actually doing it was not very difficult then.
Okay. So, what does a dog trainer actually do?
So see, dogs are basically animals. They've, as I said, evolved from wolves, right?
Hmm.
And they are used to living a certain life. I don't know if you've ever seen a village. If you go to a village setup, and you have these narrow roads, you have these small houses, you'll find a lot of dogs around. Uh,
Yeah.
have you observed that anywhere? Like,
Like you're saying, they are always in packs.
yeah, so there will be a group of dogs lying around, sleeping either in someone's
Yeah, I saw.
courtyard or on the road,
Yeah.
and they are the happiest, dogs you'll find. There's no one has got them on leash. Nobody is, doing anything with them. But if you notice, they are always at ease. They will never, bother you. For example, they are happy dog. That's because they are in their environment that is most conducive to them. But when you bring a dog from that environment, you expect them to stay with you in a city, in an apartment, in human society, and you're trying to integrate them into human society. That is when you need somebody to help, and that's when you call dog training to come in. So it's more about getting the dog to adjust to human life, so that both of them can be happy, and then have a fulfilling life forward in this environment or in this setup. So that's the basic role that I see, what a dog trainer would do.
Okay, I have a provocative question that I was thinking whether to ask or not, but you laid it there. Do you think we are making them lose their freedom by doing this? And how do you tackle this ethical um, problem if it is one for you?
So, couple of things, actually, two things. One is that, see, they are in this environment. You can't do anything about it. If a dog is there, if somebody goes and adopts a dog, let's say from the street, the dog is not, let's say, is injured or is unwell, you take care of it, you really fall in love with it, and you bring it home. It's not the dog's fault at all, right?
Hmm.
It's not. He's Sometimes they don't even choose it. But now that he's there, what do you do then? If you don't, if you don't train, and if the dog keeps, let's say, barking, a dog keeps, the dogs run behind small prey, right? For them, a small child running is also equivalent to that. He starts chasing a kid. That's his natural behavior. But you can't have that, right, in society.
Okay.
So you want a dog also to be happy, then the only way out is for him to learn that this is not prey. You teach him to do something else. It is equally fulfilling. But you have to figure out how to move him from chasing a child to maybe chasing a ball. That's where a dog trainer will help. And a dog who chases a ball is equally happy because for him that's equivalent to a prey, right?
Okay. And the second point?
The second point is that these dogs are basically now bred to live with humans. So
Ah,
most of the dogs that you see around today, I think, don't have much wild in them anyways. So they are more attuned to live with humans in a human environment with the noises of maybe cars honking, in small apartments, things like that.
okay.
So I also feel that's one more aspect to this.
Okay. So you never had the problem that matlab, you've already accepted that this is the scenario. Where do I fit in? I'll just add love to the equation, happiness to the equation as much as I can. Is that your point of view?
Yeah, yeah. And a dog who's well trained, who can live happily with humans, I mean, with comfortably with humans, will always be a happy dog, and you'll have happy pet parents. And I think that then that the environment is
Yeah,
more wholesome, right?
true. So another question that bothers me a lot. So uh, there is this place that we frequent, a few of us friends uh, cook every Saturday. So we have a place that we have taken on rent, and so the neighbors there feed cats with cat food. That cat has to be the laziest cat ever. Laziest. And I find it very unnatural. And I keep hounding them that you are creating an absolute mess of an animal.
Yeah.
Because that matlab, I have this standing joke which might not even be a joke. If there is a rat that goes past it, it will not jump. It will say, "मेरा खाना आने वाला है यार. Why do I bother?" And I feel very so there is a problem that I see. So between our place there and the neighbor, there is a ledge in between the balconies. We are on the second floor. So that idiot cat jumps from their balcony to this ledge and then doesn't know a way to go back. So we are not there. We go only every Saturday to pick up to do our thing. So it doesn't know how to jump into
Yeah.
back into the same place, and which is so unnatural. Cats are aspirational, if I were to call it that. Their felicity and their um, you can always think, oh, I want to be as agile as a cat when we were
Yeah, yeah,
growing up.
they are
And
they are
now
agile.
here is a cat who doesn't bother. Matlab, if she's sleeping, she just keeps sleeping. So do you think we are being unfair to their natural instincts at some point of time? With this example in particular, I've also seen other dogs or cats act like that, but what's your
So
take on that?
I think once you ruin also part of their natural habit. So if who's feeding the cat, right? Who has started this process?
Hmm.
It is the person who started feeding him, putting it there without the cat needing to hunt for it.
Hmm.
When you start ruining the process will take its own course then. No, these are, and see, eventually dogs, cats, they're animals.
Hmm.
So even, no, I will say something provocative. When you
Hmm.
said dog loves you, actually a dog doesn't love. He doesn't know what love is, right? This is anthropomorphism. You are putting your your thinking on the dog. Right? Dog doesn't understand what is love and what is it's basically happy to have you around because you are taking care of the dog. You are feeding it. It feels protected and safe, and therefore it shows you its allegiance, its thanks, whatever in its form. So same with
Okay.
the cat. So with the cat, it is basically about survival, and if someone's giving it food, it will slowly lose that cat instinct, right?
True.
It's going to start becoming, as you said, lazy, and if this perpetuates, it's only going to get lazier, right? Because
It is.
its sole motive is to survive, right? It just wants to live its life as comfortably as it can, and you're already taking care of that. So yeah, these are urban animals. They will lose their what you'll see the wild trait or whatever you call it,
Hmm.
and we are partly to
How
blame for it.
how do you ensure that the people that you are helping adapt to the pets and the pets that are adapting to the people that you are dealing with don't get into this scenario? Is there anything that you do for that?
So dog training. When you say dog training, is actually only 50% the dog. I think 50% is the parents, the pet parents. It is as much training for them as it is for the dog. So you have to ensure that they understand this, and basically uh, they are creatures of habit. So you have to ensure that you the habits that you're forming. Sometimes you do it subconsciously, unconsciously. Don't harm uh, the dog.
Okay.
So that's the main theme when you go for any training session is to ensure that the dog is comfortable, the dog is well adjusted, but the pet parents also understand what they are doing and what they should do and what they shouldn't do.
Okay. Uh, I love the phrase pet parents that you're using. I haven't heard it in this context before. Uh, so a very interesting story comes to mind. There is this friend of mine who shifted from Worli to Thane. This is many years back, and I think her mother-in-law passed away in Worli, uh, and the dog was at that point in Thane. But
Okay.
the dog wasn't happy at all for the last 2 days or the last night or something. Like something had happened. I don't remember the exact episode, but the dog was up and very uneasy, and they had to literally take the dog back to Worli for a day or something, and so that he could pay his respects, if I were to call it that. Something like that had transpired. You used a term saying that they may not know what love is, and a lot of pet parents would perhaps disagree with you here. So my question to you is, how do you see this phenomena? And this is, I can give you another story. So I used to come from work very late during those days, and there were around 13, 14 dogs uh, a road before my apartment. So I used to come walking because it was late, and I used to enjoy my walk and spend time. But those guys, once or twice, they ganged up, and I was a little fearful that what if they attack? Generally, I still do not change my route. I will still go through there, and so I try to give them compassionate love and saying, "Hey, look, I don't mean you any harm." So I'm very inspired by Buddha's example when he first went to the jungle. Apparently, he had communicated in some manner to all the beings there that he was not there to harm them, and asked them not to harm him while he was doing whatever he was doing, austerities or whatever he was. So wherever I read this, it inspired me a lot. I thought this is a very good way to go about things, a non-conflicting way of existence. So I kind of did the same with those dogs, and the next day onwards, they were not troubling me. And what also happened was this story was being narrated by me somewhere else, again late in the night, and we were having coffee. A friend of mine sitting on the streets with the cycle coffee wala guy giving us. So there was a dog which was opposite side of the road and say 100 meters away. While I was narrating that story, the dog actually landed up coming here to be petted by me. And I found it was quite intriguing that he sensed that uh, that's what my reading of the situation was, obviously. But my friend was also a little amused. Yeah, man, this is quite uncanny. He was standing quite far from us. So, how do you sense these things, and do you sense these things? Because now you are officially also communicating with them in some manner. So, there will be a mix because you're calling them pet parents, you're also a kind of a counselor to both the parent and the kid here. So you
Yeah,
would be having methodologies in terms of कभी discipline करना है या harsh रहना है या stern होना है या loving होना है या adjust होना है. Those aspects of emotions that we have with other kids, human kids, if I were to call it them, call this that. So how do you feature in this aspect of love or connection? Connection, let's call it connection because that perhaps is a better word.
so, I think, see, that there are two ways to look at it. One is this whole, metaphysical, can't be explained with science kind of path. The
Okay.
other is the, of course, scientific way of doing it. So, for example, Shifu's been with us for about 2.5, 3 years now. So if you're sad, for example, or you are unhappy, maybe you're crying, he will figure it out and he'll come and he'll sit with you. He'll come and sit next to you. He'll come and maybe give you a lick. He will ensure that he's around and he won't do anything else. It's not dynamic, but his presence will be there. All right. Now, I mean, no dog gets upset and cries and all that, right? I mean, they don't have that emotion, but they are able to recognize it in us,
Hmm.
right? So and it is not once. It's not something that's happened one off. That could be random. It's quite consistent. They figure it out. Like my kids study in a different country now. So whenever a bag comes out, you start packing a bag a couple of days before. So once the bag comes out, Shifu knows that somebody is going to go, and he'll wait to figure out who out of this is going to go, and he'll show his displeasure first by sitting in the bag. Then the person he knows is going will be shown more love, will spend more time. So these are things that you can't explain logically, but this behavior is seen. So one is, if you see scientifically, a dog, we have 6 million receptors in our nose for smell, and whatever we smell is using 6 million. Dogs have 300 million receptors. So
Ah,
their worldview is mostly smell. So they can smell when you are upset, they can smell fear. So one idea when I was saying Monday to Friday, right? When Monday to Friday, he figures out time by the intensity of smell.
oh wow.
So whatever smell footprint of mine is the strongest on Monday, starts becoming lesser as time goes by. By Friday, it's at a certain level, and he's using that to figure it out. So there's one scientific explanation to this. The other is things that, like what you said, can't be explained, because if Wali to Thana is not, there's no smell that can move that much.
Or maybe it does because of the 300 million receptors.
Yeah, but it may be tougher to explain it using that.
Yeah,
So there is
true.
that whole unexplainable bit,
Mm,
where
true. So, this training learning that you did,
sorry.
what did they really teach you? Because now you're getting into a lot of details, historical and scientific, and like I know about this wolves thing very recently when I read it, and I thought it made a bit of sense in terms of uh, even their loyalty for that matter. Loyalty isn't it's a survival instinct for them. Whoever they are attached to fully because they know that if the other person is taken care of, then they'll be taken care of, kind of thing.
That's it. That's it.
And that is why, say, a neighborhood, for example, there is this dog called Casper in our building, and very well loved by kids and everything. Very monkish kind of character. Only recently I've realized he's an obstinate monk.
Yeah,
When he wants to go for his walk, you can't deny him that at all. So it's
correct.
a different kind of scenario. But so maybe that dog adjusts to everybody around through smell itself, as you are explaining. How do you deal with tough dogs, or have you had any experiences with naughty pets, or uh, maybe unlivable in some manner, or troublesome, if I were to call it?
Not, so not really. See, like human beings, every dog also is an individual. It has its own personality. A lot of it also depends on the breed because humans have bred dogs for certain reasons, so to say. For example, the Doberman
Hmm.
was bred by a tax collector in Germany.
Okay.
His surname was Doberman, Mr. Doberman. He bred these dogs to help him with his tax collection. So they were bred to be fierce. They were bred to look in a certain manner. They were bred to protect.
Okay.
And the dog used to do that. So he used to go, whenever they used to collect the tax, the monies, I'm talking about many years ago, that money was tied around the neck of the dog. That was the safest place. Now, today, the Doberman doesn't do that, right? I mean, what you see in the city, that, but you know the background, you know where it comes from. So when you work with a Doberman, you work in a certain manner. And it'll respond to it. German shepherds were used for, as the name says, as a help to the shepherd, right, for moving sheep around.
Okay.
So you know what it was bred for. Genetically, that's still there in their system. So when you work with a German shepherd, you keep that in mind and you work with it in that manner. And dogs will respond to you irrespective. I mean, nobody is bred to be mean. They're not, they're basic, very, very basic level animals, right? They don't have deep thoughts. So, they may become aggressive mostly because we've screwed up.
Okay.
So you have an aggressive breed, you don't treat it well, you don't work with it well, it will get even more aggressive. Then you blame the dog. So it's not always like that.
Okay. Uh, a little off what we've been speaking, although it's still on the topic. Uh, what do you think about the well-being of the street dogs, and whether we are doing enough as a society to take care of them? Uh, because there are both sides of the argument. There are one set of people who hate when you have dogs in your neighborhood, and there are others who say no, they are good. But irrespective, I go to a office complex in Airoli, to a friend's office, and there are dogs in those fancy buildings also now, and street dogs in the parking space or whatever. And obviously, they must be fed by someone, because there is no other way that they will be surviving in a space like that. Not many, but one odd in one building I have seen. So, what do you think about the well-being of the street dogs? And as a society, what do you think? Where are we going? Are we right? Are we wrong? What should be done or not being done? Do you have any views on that?
Yeah. So So the thing is this, right? So if you travel to any other country, like if you go to, let's say, Europe, even for that matter US, you find that people are now having dogs more than children. They have a dog instead of a child. You'll find a lot of dogs on the road, and you'll find a lot of people are comfortable with dogs around. Right? They'll be in restaurants. They may come into shops. They are there in tourist locations. They're not normally shunned or kept away. They've integrated much more. And I always wondered, why is it that they are like this? And in India, you will find that, with Shifu is a very small, lovable dog. But so many people, when I say so many, maybe 80% of the people who see him for the first time, the question is, Katega kya? Right? And he's in his own world, he's doing his own thing. He's not even showing any aggression, he's not even showing any interest in that person. So why does that question come? Right? It is
Hmm.
because they've been exposed today more to street dogs and to tales of street dogs and tales of maybe seeing some dog being aggressive, and that's already colored their thinking towards dogs. All right. So one is that we've ignored them for so long that sometimes it's now become detrimental to the whole community of dogs. Having said that, over a period of the last couple of years, in fact decades, people have been interested in caring for the street dogs. And there are two types of people now, or maybe one is they're called feeders. What you said, somebody is feeding them, right? So there are people called feeders who will take responsibility of an area and ensure that these dogs are fed, and that food is properly designed for dogs with protein content. Is that kept in mind? It's not just about that. Second is urban dogs have also learned how to find food sources, so they will know where food is. Maybe outside restaurants, maybe things like that. Garbage dumps, or wherever they are, they can get their food. So they have evolved that one. And the on the other end, there are things like welfare for street dogs. There's Anubis Tiger Foundation. There are a lot of people who have now got together to look after them, and also the municipality. So, for example, BMC, MCGM now is looking after dogs in a structured manner. So initially, the thought was to take all these dogs, take them and euthanize them.
Yeah.
But these dogs are territorial in nature, and if you remove dogs from a certain territory, new dogs will come there. That's natural. That's nature. So now what we do for street dogs is you take them, uh, you either spay or neuter them, so they don't breed more. You vaccinate them, so they are
Harmless.
safe that way, and you leave them back in that territory. So now, you won't have new dogs coming in. Their food sources, they are more comfortable there. But they're more at ease, so to say.
Oh,
And that's how that's what's happening today also. So if you next time go out and see, you will find street dogs with collars, mostly reflective
yeah.
collars, and maybe a cut on the ear, or a little notch on the ear to show that they have been vaccinated.
Oh, um, kind of among the last questions, if not the last question itself. Uh, is your field a growing field in the sense of your own learning? Are you constantly learning new things, and or is it something that you now kind of know? Okay, these are things that I know about things, and is it does it stagnate or is it evolving in some manner? And give us examples if you can with your experience.
So knowledge is always evolving, and you can always keep learning. I think that never stops. Uh, Dog training is old. I mean, people have been doing this for many years, many decades also. But the nature of how people train dogs is changing. So, and the original way was more punishment, kind of negative reinforcement based. So you told a dog to do something, it didn't do it, you hit it till it did it. You had things called choke collars, which is basically spikes which are connected to the throat. So every time the dog didn't listen, you yank the chain and the spikes went straight into his throat, creating intense pain. So the dog started doing it because he didn't want pain. It has evolved from there to now what you call positive reinforcement, which is what we use. Professional dog trainers will mostly, I mean, mostly use positive reinforcement, which is you reinforce positive behavior to a point when it becomes natural to the dog, and that's a happier dog. The dog is more comfortable. It's not in pain. So that's evolved, right? That whole thing has evolved. The way you are the leash, your collars, your harnesses, that has evolved over a period of time. So now we have non-slip leashes, non-slip collars. Uh, you have all those things which have evolved over a period of time. So that will continue as you keep learning uh, more about dogs, dog psychology. There's now, and as technology grows, you have genetics. So now you can do dog DNA, for example, that's available even in India now. There are companies that do that, and they will predict things for you. That
Okay.
that whole thing keeps evolving as we go along.
Um, so I got one more question while you were answering this. Uh, when you start training these pet parents and the dogs themselves, or people in general who meet you, is there something that you tell them to kind of behave better in some manner where there are certain do's and don'ts? Always remember these things so that dogs are safer and so are you. What are the things that you say or you don't, or is there nothing at all?
Uh, so the way you behave with your dog is also unique, right? Like as I said, dogs have personalities. Humans also have personalities, right? So
Yeah.
you will have all types of people and all types of interactions. So there'll be some people who treat the dog as a child, who's always hugging, kissing. So by the way, hugging, kissing is more primate behavior because we come from monkeys.
Hmm.
This comes naturally to even human beings is to hug. Dogs don't understand hug because they don't have that in their system. But you'll find that they'll tolerate it. They're not happy, but they will tolerate it. So you'll find a lot of people just hugging, kissing all the time. There are some who will treat it more authoritatively, especially bigger breeds like a German Shepherd, and people will get them for, let's say, protection. Some people will bring it for company. You have toy breeds like your Maltese and your Shih Tzu are more for show, so to say, and of course they are more smaller, so they can also be carried more easily. So some are bought for that. So it also depends a lot on why you have the dog. So that, you have to understand that. So as a professional, you will understand the whole thing, and then you will guide accordingly. The do's and don'ts, what you're saying.
Okay. There are no generic do's and don'ts for people like us who don't have pets but need to be careful around pets or street dogs or some such.
So the thing is, see, dogs eventually, like you, if I had to come and suddenly just come very close to you and come very close into your face, how would you react, right? I mean, you may not be very comfortable. If you're an aggressive kind of person, you will push. If you are a shy kind of person, you may quietly try and go back. If you may hit. So there is a way. If I had to keep coming and keep touching your face, you don't know me. I just walk to you and start touching your face. How will you react? How will you like it? So you have to understand that these guys also, you have to give them the space. You can't expect, just to, if you suddenly go and start touching a face of a dog and you don't observe what he's doing, you just think only about yourself. You may land up with problems because you have to. They will signal to you. So no dog will blindly for the first time just attack you randomly. Just come out of blue and just attack. That's not possible.
Don't they have
So
bad moods?
they'll give you a chance. They'll warn you that don't. If you're going to ignore it.
Uh,
So next time, whenever you see a dog, you go to a dog. If there is a if it's a pet dog, you can ask the person, can I touch? Where do I touch? That some dogs like the head, some dogs hate the head. If you touch them on the head, they may just bite you because they get afraid of that hand. So normally you should ask. You come down to the dog's level. Don't stand looming over it. And then try from the side, not straight up, not on the face. Pet on the side first. Sit on the side and pet the side so that it doesn't feel threatened, and then you see. But always better to ask. It's better to observe because dogs have personalities. Sometimes they are scared, sometimes they're fearful. You don't know what their background is. And with street dogs, normally it's about resource guarding. They're worried that you're coming into their territory. They're basically trying to protect it.
Yeah.
They don't really mean any harm to you.
Wonderful. So, I have to admit that I had many ideas about what dog training could be.
Yeah,
Uh, I have to admit that I had many ideas about what dog training could be or what your field would entail, but this has been a very, very beautiful chat and very enlightening in so many ways. So, thank you so much for joining us today, and I shall
thank
see you soon.
thank you so much. Thank you, and have a good day.
Bye.